Bogota is a massive city. It ranks the third largest in terms of population in South America. The city sits at 8,590 feet elevation, which is about 2,620 meters elevation, with a population of roughly 11 million inhabitants, making it one of the highest elevated cities in the world with a population of over 1 million. This means if you come from a lower elevated place, you're going to feel the elevation change, and a beer might hit you a little faster, which is always a nice thing. The whole city sits at a high plateau called the Bogota Savannah, which is neat because it gives you a bird's eye view of the city if you climb any of its surrounding mountain peaks, such as the famous Monserrate. Bogota is the capital city of Colombia, and its city center has a mixture of colonial architecture, modern buildings, and alluring graffiti. You'll also find plenty of pigeons populating the city square. If you get a chance to visit the beautiful, vibrant city of Bogota, here's what we, the Life Theory couple, suggest you should do. Real quick, if you're watching this video and you're enjoying what you're seeing and you're enjoying our content, please subscribe. That would help us tremendously, and hit that like button. You've got to start the day off with a hike. Start early off in the morning between 5 or 7 a.m. This is because you are not allowed to hike most of the trails after the 9 a.m. hour. This is the exact experience that is going to make you feel alive, because the elevation makes it challenging to move at a reasonable pace. And once you get to the top of these mountains, the views are to die for. It's no wonder why you see locals going up and down these mountain peaks every single day as a form of exercise or spiritual retreat. You have the classic and most notable Monserrate Trail. It's known not just for its views from the top, but because the church on top of the mountain. This church was built in 1640 and named after the Monserrate mountain near Barcelona, Spain. Today, the church holds active services and remains a holy pilgrimage for those of the Catholic faith. Monserrate mountain was also a place of worship before the Spaniards arrived, and is still considered a sacred mountain according to the indigenous populations that still remain in the area. In addition, you have several shops and eateries where you can find yourself a good souvenir or a quick bite if you're feeling a little hungry. This trail is a good option because it is fully paved and comes with a cable cart to take down. Widny and I often take the cable cart down to save our knees, which we also highly suggest if you're trying to do more stuff throughout the day. The elevation gain is roughly 1,800 feet, and if you move quickly, expect to feel out of breath and winded within 10 to 15 minutes. Monserrate is definitely a sight to see and a breathtaking experience of what the city of Bogota has become. There are several other hikes, unpaved and with no cable cart option, which makes them a little more rustic, challenging, and time-consuming. So if you choose one of these options, be prepared to spend 2 or 3 hours on the hike itself. Quebrada la Vieja Alto de la Cruz is our favorite. This is because it goes through 3 distinct ecosystems: a dense tropical forest, coniferous forest, and a dry desert-like terrain at the top of the mountain. It also comes with incredible views where the city of Bogota and nature meets. It's roughly 4 miles long from top to bottom with an elevation gain of 1,600 feet. Like Monserrate, you're going to feel that elevation change. It is our most recommended spot for sure. The highest of the peaks is Guadalupe Aguanoso, Tarmo Dos. Its views are spectacular. Although we encountered a cloudy day, it gave us a feel of what the mountains are typically like: cloudy, hazy, but so surreal and full of peace. At the top of this mountain, you can find several frailejones, which is a plant that only exists in the Andes Mountains at certain elevations, and it happens to exist here on Aguanoso. Here's a list of all the hikes you can sign up for in Bogota other than Monserrate. Visit the Caminos de los Cerros Orientos website to make your booking. See the link in the description below. We've done nearly every single one of these trails, and we highly recommend doing a few of them. Go check out some of our other videos where we feature these hikes in full detail. After a good 1 or 2-3 hour hike, it's usually best to sit down and get some tasty food. Your body is going to need it. We highly suggest checking out this place called Hornitos. It's an amazing bakery with a wide assortment of breads, desserts, hot drinks, and your typical breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you're new to Colombia, you have to try a buñuelo. It's a deep-fried ball of dough made with wheat flour and cheese. The outside is firm and savory, and the inside melts like bread pudding. Think of it like Colombia's version of a hush puppy. Buñuelos are served typically during the holiday season, but Hornitos serves them year-round. They do a spectacular job of making this traditional food. I would argue they're the best at doing it. Super delicious. Another spot to check out is Agua's Patos, which is a great brunch location serving fresh mimosas and their staple dish called Patos, which is basically a piece of bread decorated with your choice of options. Think of it as an elevated version of avocado toast, except they have like Thai toast, chicken waffle toast, and other types of toast that are just incredibly delicious. Next, take a casual walk through La Candelaria. This area is unique because many of the buildings that remain were constructed in the 17th century by the Spanish colonies. Today there are several high-rise apartments and office buildings in a thriving college community, so you're going to see a lot of young people out and about, some enjoying the city, some drinking and smoking, and others are rushing to their classes. Muchos los jóvenes, as I like to say. We suggest starting at City U, which is where you can find the colorful college dorm buildings, and then walking down Carrera 3, take a left on Calle 12D bis, then a right on Carrera 2 toward the city center. When you walk this way, you will see another 17th century Catholic church called Iglesia de la Nuestra Señora de las Aguas, which means Church of Our Lady of the Waters. Along this path, you will see several restaurants and stunning graffiti that makes it feel like you're walking through an outdoor art exhibit. At the city center, you will see a fountain that remains intact but is no longer functional. In fact, it's not the true original that was built back in the 1500s. This fountain, located in Plazoleta del Chorro del Quebrada, is believed to be the center of the city and has been preserved as a monument of the city's origins. In the area, you can find several restaurants, cafes, and retail shops, most of which Widny and I have still yet to discover. The most traditional activity you can do is to sit down and enjoy a chicha or a masato. Chicha is a fermented corn beverage, whereas masato is a rice-based fermented drink. Chicha and masato have been traditionally made in the South American Andes for centuries. Visit Plaza de Bolivar. This is just a few blocks from the fountain, Chorrero de Cabero. This is home of the Congress building where the national government makes their laws. This location holds several tourist activities such as shopping, fresh pressed lemonade made with real cane sugar, and alpacas. This square is often a location where protests are held. At this time, we have not quite seen any protests, but we are keeping our hopes up. In Plaza de Bolivar, you can see a Roman Catholic church, which was built 4 times in the same place. Its original structure collapsed after an earthquake. The first structure was created about mid-1500s and the final version in the early 1800s. And for fun, you can buy some pigeon feed and feed the pigeons. Some of these pigeons are quite friendly and may even jump up on your hand if you allow them to. If you're anything like Widny, you enjoy feeding the pigeons, but you're also very terrified of it. Walk the street of Séptima all the way down to Plaza de la Perseverancia, which means Perseverance Plaza in English. I probably said that word a little wrong. Séptima is chock full of activities. The street is blocked off so that vendors can sell their merchandise literally on the streets. Nearly every large city in Colombia has a street or several streets just like this. Séptima is relatively safe to walk and more spacious than others that you will find across the city. This gives you a feel of what local life is truly like for the people who live and work in these busy, rushing city areas. Once you have arrived at Plaza de la Perseverancia, this is where you're going to want to eat lunch. This is a world-famous market and place where locals show up every day to eat. You can see a full episode featuring this place in Netflix's street food docuseries. In fact, during our recent stay in Bogota, we visited this location 4 times. We've eaten mostly at La Esquina de Mary, which means Mary's Corner. This is because they have traditional Colombian Caribbean dishes such as rompecalzone. We've eaten shrimp, we've eaten fish, and all sorts of tasty, tasty food. Because of this, it's highly recommended to check out La Esquina de Mary and many of the other kitchens that are in the plaza. There are several museums to visit. Museo Nacional de Colombia is a great one to visit to give you a thorough look at the history of Colombia itself. The museum building was constructed in 1875 and was used as a prison up until 1946, after which it was adopted by the National Museum and restored in 1975. This building used to be considered outside the city limits of Bogota when it was fully used as a prison. This is a bit shocking because the city limits now expand for about a dozen miles north and south from this location. Another notable museum is the El Museo del Oro, which is the gold museum featuring several pieces of gold that were made by the ancient indigenous populations of South America before the Spaniards arrived. It too will give you a unique perspective of the past. After a very active day such as we have described in this video, you're going to want to sit down at a calm place and eat a nice meal. We highly recommend checking out Castanyoles. It's a Spanish restaurant and tucked away in the trendy Chapinero area of Bogota. This is a fine dining experience, so expect Gringo prices if you choose to visit, and expect every dish to be excellent. Their sangria is also to die for. There is so much more in Bogota than what we put together in this video. There is much deeper history to experience and culture to explore. If you enjoyed watching, please hit that like button and subscribe. We are the Life Theory Couple, and we're all about finding gratitude everywhere we go.